Right now we're going to take on the innovation curve, the first in the series of 4 different types of innovation concepts that I think are valuable for you to be able to make better decisions while you're moving through your innovative approaches to building your business or you're building your organization. Philosophically, I have discussions with individuals all over who say, why do we need to innovate with our products or customers or buying them, or innovation needs to be done one way or another and we really don't need to focus on it the same way, we just have to go out and be innovative. And what I tend to have to do is very quickly explore and expand the view of the person. So I'd like you to think for a moment, when you think about innovation, traditionally, people are thinking about innovation as products and services delivered to the marketplace. And yet innovation happens all over an organization. Innovation happens the way you handle inventory, the way you service a customer at a counter. It might be involved in the way in which you process paperwork. All of those different types of innovations have their own little life cycle that goes along with them. And if you want to just look at the product area, that's fine. I'm going to give you an example very quickly of how you can rapidly see that the innovation or the innovation curve that I'm going to demonstrate to you offers a lot more. So let's start with a company that was founded in 1904 called French's Mustard. You may have seen them. I've seen them in grocery stores all over the world, so it's a very common brand. It's a mustard, and if you went back to 1904 and the World's Fair, the mustard itself, the recipe for the mustard, has not changed for over 100 years. Yet what has changed? What was innovative? Well, the bottling from being a glass packaging, it has evolved into a plastic packaging. What has evolved has been the marketing or the promotion on side. How about the barcoding, the system for being able to be scanned? What about the innovations that have happened in the warehouse? All of those different tools to bring in inventory and to move it and to make sure they have the product on the shelf, so that's useful. We can even go to the farming of them. The original seeds that were planted and how they were planted are not the same way they're planted today, and how they're harvested and even crushed use different technologies. Now, they might not be radically different. For example, it still is the concept of crushing. However, the crushing now might be crushing at a high pounding rate as compared to a slow pounding rate. Same activity results, yet it was a change. And I believe the number is over 112,000 or 13,000 bottles of this mustard are packaged by one person in a given shift. 112,000. Now, I could be off. I have to look back at the book again to be able to see the exact number. Doesn't make a difference. I can guarantee you in 1904, they weren't producing with one person 100,000 bottles in a shift. So all of that is part of innovation. And the challenge for an individual to understand or to work with is that there have been many people who've outlined this type of curve that I'm going to demonstrate to you. And you'll see a picture of it, and it's in the book. It's called the S-curve. And the S-curve starts off with performance and improvements. You're looking at how well that product has moved its way along the pipeline. So I'm going to try to do it backwards here. I was always impressed growing up that insurance people could write upside down. So imagine you have a graph and you have a curve going up. At the bottom, you have a certain type of advancement. You've started to develop a product and it gains some traction in the marketplace, and you start to add tools and technologies to improve that ability to be able to perform and deliver on it. And you're looking to do things to increase efficiency, to increase production, to drive down costs. And as you move up this curve, you find you don't have to do as much to be able to accelerate that type of improvement. At some point, the curve starts to level off, and this is where you might have heard the term cash cow. You have this product, it is selling, and your real target is to drive down cost, increase sales, and move the product along. And that S-curve is a traditional formed curve that is happening all the time in any types of product or service, internal or external, that is happening within a market. Now, the competitive nature is a little bit different. You don't have someone competing against you in the production of your financials within your organization. However, the concept still applies. In the beginning, you're trying to structure it, put together your GL, understand how it works, you make it more efficient, you fix it, and you get to a point where you feel it delivers what it needs to, and then you operate in that. If you then take that model, you can see that when you start to get to the top of that curve, your objective is to drive down that cost, increase efficiency. So let's take, for example, the computer chip, whether it be Intel or any company that's producing, AMD. What they're doing is they're looking at their chip and saying, we've developed a chip, we've got it operational, it's grabbing traction in the marketplace, let's continue to drive it. We've gotten to a point, drive down costs, increase speed, increase capacity, and keep on doing it. And at some point it ends up filtering out, dying out. Now that could be 100 years, it could be 50 years, it could be 20 years, it could actually be a shorter period of time. Why? Because depending on the product that's being offered, there's somebody else out there who's saying, I could do it differently. I can offer it differently. I can generate something different. So there's somebody right now who's looking to say, I can compete against Intel's chip and make that operationally more efficient. And just the other day, I was reading the newspaper and I read, or some article, I read about how the Chinese have developed the first supercomputer, the fastest supercomputer in the world. And part of it was a fear that they would not be able to get the technologies from the States, a variety of reasons. They invested in it so that they have one of the faster supercomputers. Well, that's going to drive more innovation, and somebody else is working on that in Germany or in South Africa or in any place in the world where they're trying to move things forward. So for you, what I'd like you to be thinking about is this, is that there is some type of lifestyle and a life curve that's going along with it. Not exactly where you are on the curve, because that's not important. As much to me as how are you looking at innovation to say, I know that some of these things have to change, and where can they change? In your role and what you do every day, could you be better at processing orders? Could you be better at hiring and getting the right staff? Could you be better at making your products operationally in the warehouses or the factories? Where are the areas that you could take innovation and start to be able to use this curve as a tool to make better decisions? It's not that complicated, and yet it's extremely sophisticated. So with that said, we're going to go on to the second in the series.